Well, it's Sunday afternoon, and I'm about to begin week 2 of a new job that I have that is hybrid. And I came across this story by CNBC, I think, on remote work and why some major corporations are having people return to the office. I've been through a few articles on this and listened to a few podcasts. Let's see what CNBC has to say about this.
AT&T, Amazon, and Dell.
Federal workers.
Employees at the Washington Post, they are being ordered back to the office 5 days a week.
In the years following the pandemic, remote work became the new normal. But that's not the case anymore.
I think a lot of organizations threw a lot of trust that they had built up with their employees out the window when they shifted very quickly away from all of the rhetoric around this is our new normal.
In 2022, fully remote jobs were about 1 in 5 job postings on LinkedIn. Today, that's down to about 1 in 12.
About 60% of the applications on LinkedIn are going to remote and hybrid roles, even though they're only about 20% of overall job postings.
Nearly half of hybrid and remote employees said they'd be unlikely to stay at their job if they were called back to their offices full-time. And if employees do choose to stay, some rebel against the mandates by only making brief appearances in the office.
That's what's happening where I work. Some people are, I work with people who have a worse commute than I do. And although they're not just going in and having a coffee and leaving, I hear some people can do that. You have the badge in, you don't have the badge out. And so it works for them so they don't have to fight traffic. But it also works for the employer because they don't have all of this real estate that goes vacant. Parking lots, buildings going vacant, all these desks that they pay for. So it's, and when it's hybrid, you're not guaranteed to be working on the same days as other people on your team. I'm sitting there in the office meeting with people who are still on the East Coast, in a different time zone. I'm not on the East Coast time zone. They're in Mountain Time, Eastern Time, some in Central. So it's kind of weird. Even to get the job, the people I interviewed with were in different time zones. I wasn't physically face to face when I had the interview for the job. So that's strange. Because you have to show up, that means the pool of people that I have to compete with to get the job is smaller. But, I think that's the main reason, because smaller companies they're not going to do this. Because if you're forcing people to go into an office, then that means you're forcing yourself to have an office and pay rent. And in some cases, it just makes more sense, especially if you're a technical company, to have people work whatever's convenient for them. I remember working for a very small company, and the owner said, we're not making money when you're stuck in traffic. And this person came from a very, very large company that makes the technology that we use to be able to work remotely. So let's continue.
Otherwise known as coffee badging. However, some workers are welcoming the switch.
When Amazon announced fully in office, I was excited to get in there in person with all my teammates.
So what's causing the push for employees to return to office? And what does the future of work look like? There are a couple of reasons why companies might do a return to office mandate. One, they have real estate and they want to make use of it.
Another reason is that companies may think that workers are possibly more productive in the office. Productivity translates to profits.
Shifting labor market dynamics is another one.
While by broad measures, the job market is doing pretty well with unemployment low and still adding jobs, we do see that the momentum has shifted back to employers.
Basic economics. When supply is up, there are fewer reasons for employers to offer incentives like flexible work. There are also certain types of leaders who are more likely to make these demands.
Yeah, that's it. When unemployment is higher, and I know we're jerking around with the numbers and making it seem like it's only 3-4%, but when, like they said, when the supply is high, then the employers can be king. Just go ahead and try to demand 100% remote. Bye-bye. You can find something else. That's what they're going to do.
We found return to office mandates are more likely in firms with male and powerful CEOs. They are used to working in the office for 5 days a week, and they feel that they are losing control over their employees who are working from home. And another big reason is stock market pressure. Return to office mandates are more likely after firms' stock price crash. And a very easy explanation for the poor performance by the managers is actually employees are being lazy at home.
And that's what President Trump is saying. It bothered me when we would see, when I would hear people say only 6% of the folks are reporting to work 6 days a week, 5 days a week. Well, yeah, even when I had a job before COVID, I had 1 day a week where I could work remotely. So I wouldn't have been included in that statistic of people who are in 5 days a week. Nobody on my team would have been. We all had at least 1 day. We all had 1 day a week that we could work remotely. And it couldn't be on Monday or Friday. It had to be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday because of the management that we had. And I wasn't too happy about that. Several things on that team, but nevertheless, the employer is holding all the cards. And like Trump said about Zelensky there in Ukraine, he doesn't have any of the cards, where the employee in America doesn't have any of the cards. Hopefully that can turn around. Again, I've said before, we are a better nation when employers have to compete, not only for customers, but for talent. We're a better nation when they're worried more about the talent leaving than the talent is worried about them getting rid of them. And we haven't been in that situation for more than maybe about 5 minutes in my whole almost 30 years of being in the workforce. And that's something I lament, that it shouldn't be that way. Anyway, let's go.
The most common industries with RTO mandates are finance, insurance, and real estate at 32%, followed by manufacturing at 30%. Return to office mandates are also viewed by some as back-channel layoffs. A June 2024 Bamboo HR survey found that 25% of VP and C-suite executives and 18% of HR professionals admitted to hoping that their return to office mandates would lead to voluntary turnover. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy denied in an all-hands meeting that the company's 5-day in-office mandate had anything to do with this.
These organizations may think that their goal is to, remove X%. That's not going to fix whatever is going on in their organization. I think what people really want is to work in organizations that have been very deliberate about what they're doing, so that if they have to come into an office every day, they're not spending the entire day in video calls with people in other offices or working from home.
The big question everyone is asking is whether 5 days in the office actually improves productivity and firm performance. While Ma's study didn't have a good measure of productivity, the expectation is that higher employee productivity leads to better financial performance. The study found no significant change in the latter.
But we do find significant evidence that return to office mandates hurt employee job satisfaction. We collect millions of Glassdoor job reviews, and we found that after return to office mandates, job satisfaction ratings significantly drop.
A lack of alternative job opportunities doesn't help. However, some workers do feel that collaboration has improved since being in office full-time.
I've worked probably 3 years total of being fully remote. Personally, it is a large enabler of procrastination, and it doesn't add the same energy as when you're in person. You can have small conversations in an elevator. You can randomly run into leadership and do an elevator pitch of your idea.
But return to office mandates can lead to employee turnover, whether wanted or not.
We found that after firms impose return to office mandates, their turnover rate significantly increase and their hiring rate significantly decrease. And it also takes significantly longer time for firms to hire new employees.
Yeah, like I said, my interview was not face-to-face. Someone I work with mentioned that he's never not gotten a job where he had a face-to-face interview, but that is almost becoming the way of the dinosaur. For a job that's here locally, the people on the interview it was a video call. They had to incorporate folks from 3 different time zones: Central Time, Eastern Time, and Mountain Time, to talk to me. I've seen none of those people face to face yet. One of them's on vacation that is in the same time zone as me, but I imagine I'll meet her in the next couple of weeks.
What's more important is the people who are leaving the firm are not the people you want to lose. These are the female employees, the more skilled employees, and the senior employees.
Logistics are another issue.
I'm not speaking on Amazon's behalf, but from what I saw personally as an employee at Amazon is that we had a lot of hybrid desks to start when RTO was at 3 days a week, and moving to 5 days a week. From the offices that I've seen my other coworkers in, they have had modified policies if they didn't have enough desks. But I think this is a very rare exception case.
One of the major arguments for RTO mandates are the small businesses that need to be busy in order to thrive.
Food trucks, laundry services. There are a lot of businesses that depend on workers in the office, and when workers are not in the office, these businesses don't do well.
I
guess gas stations don't do as well either. Because you're not going as many miles, but hey, I don't think I exist just so a food truck can survive. Maybe they can come to our neighborhood. In fact, we have food trucks come to my neighborhood every Friday. It's that big of a neighborhood. It's not finished yet, but when it's finished, it's going to be about 2,400 houses in one subdivision. And they have a number of food trucks that come every Friday.
I think will happen in the next few years. There will be more firms trying to call employees back to the office, but most firms will still be hybrid rather than 5-day return to office.
Ma believes that smaller firms will not follow the lead of larger ones on RTO because they can't afford to lose talent.
So the big firms can afford losing some talents in the short term, but the smaller firms are actually providing flexibility as a way to attract talents from the bigger competitors.
They can't afford to lose talent, and they also don't want to have all the office space. They don't want the office space. And they know they're not making money when you're stuck in traffic. It's the more metro the area, the more you have to get strategic about how you're going to get back and forth to these places. And I'm trying to get there before the school starts and leave before school gets out, just so I'm not, stuck in my car for too long.
Two popular methods that organizations have used to adopt hybrid work models are to enforce a 3-day in-office mandate or use a team choice approach.
The team choice approach is better than 3 days in office mandates. When firms impose 3-day return to office mandates, it creates a big trust issue. Basically, the managers are telling employees that I do not believe you are actually working at home. In contrast, by allowing teams to make the best decisions for themselves, companies are actually empowering teams.
Organizations also have the option of reversing an RTO mandate based on employee feedback, like H&R Block did after initially announcing a 3-day in-office mandate.
One trend that's currently favoring employees is demographics. The population is aging and our workforce is set to shrink. As that shrinks, employers are going to have to do more to attract employees, and offering flexible work might be the thing that they have to do.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of people talking about RTO as a very simple answer for fixing a lot of very complicated and complex problems within organizations. Maybe it has a role in certain environments and in certain cases, done thoughtfully. But if we think we're going to kind of wave the magic RTO wand and fix some really fundamental problems in our organizations, we're going to be pretty disappointed.
Interesting. I don't even have a cube where I'm at. It's an open area. I'm not real fond of that, but it is what it is. I like quiet. I like to be able to think, and I don't think with a lot of noise. I have a whole lot less of that here at the house. But what do you think? Yeah, I can see why they say this for certain industries. I mean, you can't work remotely in construction or manufacturing, and so it may cause some jealousy. But in IT, in marketing, in STEM, it makes sense. We created the technology, we maintain the technology, and we use it. So I think this is just a way of control, like they say. It's a way because of real estate, but smaller companies are not going to do it as much to keep the talent, and because it's cheaper than maintaining an office. It really is. It's more efficient when you're getting started to just have folks office out of their home, send them a laptop, vet them properly up front. But you can toy with people when you have the upper hand. Hopefully the upper hand will change some as we go forward. I don't see it changing much right now or over the course of my 3 decades, but hey, we're about to enter in the golden era. Trump himself made it seem like people are just going to work on their golf game. He said, I'm sure my handicap will get better if I worked remotely. I didn't like all the rocks that he was throwing at remote work, but maybe he's trying to do some backdoor layoffs, get some folks to resign, rather than going through all the litigation to have them removed. Maybe it is a tactic for him, but the arguments they were throwing out there were not arguments that I believe in, and it's going to be an ongoing thing. I do see the potential for the coffee badging that we have. I do see the potential for it being a problem with 3 days, because no one so far has mandated to me which 3 days to be in. I'm trying to do that with the few folks that I have to work with on the regular. I have been in a situation where I sat at a desk that someone got territorial about last week. Like, I thought this was open to everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in this one chair, that you're only here for a few days a week. All these hundreds and hundreds of places on 4 different floors. I was on the same floor in the same area. I just was in a different chair, but whatever. Retirement, here I come. I can't wait. It'll be sometime in the next decade, but for now, gotta go out there and make a few bucks. But as my man Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that. Talk to y'all next time. Bye-bye.